In our fragmented process of understanding, we frequently create an artificial separation that does not exist in reality. Thus, seekers sometimes undertake to find ways to draw on the universal vital energy, when in fact, it is through the flow of that energy that they live, breathe, exist, grow, and undertake actions. A more precise formulation of their interest is how to tap into the universal vital force consciously, at will, and with enhanced power flow. The first thing necessary is to understand the nature of universal forces, wherever they are operative. All existence occurs as a result of the operation of universal forces. For the most part, we take their action for granted, and thus do not see or recognize them as such. As an example, in his book, The Mother, Sri Aurobindo points out that, quote, money is the visible sign of a universal force, and this force, in its manifestation on earth, works on the vital and physical planes and is indispensable to the fullness of the outer life. In its origin and its true action, it belongs to the divine. End quote. Few actually consciously recognize what Sri Aurobindo implies here. We are constantly drawing on the universal vital forces and then expending them again in our various actions and activities. This occurs automatically, unconsciously, and spontaneously. The mother provides the example of how children are automatically participating in this flow of energy on the vital level. There are ways to restrict or block off flow of these forces, and that occurs in the acculturation, education, and development process as individuals try to adjust their energetic action to fit within the framework of the society within which they are living. It also occurs through traumatic experiences, painful episodes, or anything that causes an individual to close off and shut down their receptivity or build a wall around himself. Additionally, the play of forces focused through one chakra or another tends to restrict the flow of energy through the other energetic centers, so that, for instance, people fixated on ambition or greed or sex will have frequently very little openness to the centers that deal with intellect, higher emotions, compassion, etc. While this is not a complete correlation, it is often the case. For anyone who has taken steps to wall off any of these energy nexuses within themselves, the ability to reopen those centers and get the energy flowing once again is of high importance. This then brings us to the individual who is a spiritual aspirant, who has a reasonably receptive being, and who seeks to enhance the flow of energies. There's an extensive body of yogic literature that describes how to open, activate, and direct the energies. So it is not necessary to go into these options here. Each of the yogic paths addresses some aspect of opening to the higher forces and putting that energy to work in a positive way. The use of asana, pranayama, mudra, dhyana, concentration, and samadhi are some of the techniques to bring the energy into the being and apply it for the seeker's purpose. Some individuals try to grab the force and appropriate it for their own desire fulfillment. While this can be done in some cases, it can also be highly counterproductive and even harmful, particularly if the instrument, the body life mind complex, is not prepared and able to hold that force. Generally, the best approach is a consistent, persistent, and focused receptivity in the being. The mother writes, quote, some people discover that with certain movements, certain gestures, certain activities, they enter into contact more closely. I knew people who gesticulated while walking. This truly gave them the impression that they were in contact, certain gestures they made while walking. But children do this spontaneously. when they give themselves completely in their games, running, playing, jumping, shouting, when they spend all their energies like that, they give themselves entirely. And in the joy of playing and moving and running, they put themselves in contact with this universal vital force. They don't know it, but they spend their vital force in a contact with the universal vital force, and that is why they can run without really feeling very tired, except after a very long time. That is, they spend so much that if they were not in contact with the universal force, they would be absolutely exhausted immediately. And that is why, besides, they grow up. It is also because they receive more than they spend. And this does not correspond to any knowledge. It is a natural, spontaneous movement. It is the movement, a movement of joy in what they are doing, of joyful expenditure. One can do many things with that. End quote. Reference Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, The Hidden Forces of Life, Chapter 4, Cosmic and Universal Forces, pages 90 to 91.